Good morning to you all. This is Mr. Rao. Today I come up with one of the important disease which is a part of protozoan diseases. In our previous class I explained in detail about one of the important protozoan disease, nothing but the malaria, the causative organism, then the mode of infection, symptoms, about all the things. There we studied more detailedly in the earlier part. In today's session, I'd like to give you one more detailed information regarding one more important protozoan disease. Before I get into the explanation of the disease, I would like to give some historical illustrations regarding this disease. Do you know that the Akbar, the great emperor in the Mughals Empire, do you know the basic reason why and how he died? Right. And one more here, South Indian great Telugu king is also there, and Sri Krishna Devaraya. And actually he is also a person who died because of the disease that what I am about to teach you in detail. So the two kings, North Indian king here Akbar as well as the South Indian king Sri Krishna Devaraya, both of them were died because of a protozoan disease, nothing but the amoebiasis. So the disease I am going to give you the detailed information regarding this is amoebiasis. Whereas this is a disease actually otherwise known as amoebic dysentery also. The another name for this disease is amoebic dysentery, whereas it has got even another name, and this name is known as enteritis, is the another name for this disease, enteritis. Right, this is a disease actually caused by a protozoan, as I said, and the name of the protozoan is Amoeba histolytica, is the name of the parasite. And actually this is present even in a tropical and subtropical regions also. That is the reason why we call it as even the tropical amoebiasis. You know, the tropical, temperate and polar regions. I do tell you here the things clearly. If you take the earth is here divided into different parts for our clarity. This is the globe, and in this globe, this is the area of the globe which we call it as the tropical area. Whereas this is the portion of the globe which we can call as temperate area. And this finally this position of the earth is known as polar region, poles. Here my point is, here this disease is actually more severe in this area, equator and either side of the equator, means tropical and subtropical region. This disease here severity is high. That is the reason why this disease has given even another name known as tropical amoebiasis. Right, I hope you got it clearly. Right, coming to the causative pathogen for this disease, as I said, is Amoeba histolytica. When you see this one, this is a word which is derived from a Greek language. And see the meaning of this word, anatomy of the word, entos means within. And this is a parasite that lives within our large intestine, colon particularly. And amoebos means amoeba is an organism which continuously changes its form or the shape. So this is an amoeba, so which continuously change its form, act like an amoeba. So here amoeba. Then histos is one thing. You know, there are different branches of biological science. If you study about the cells, then it is known as a cytology. Whereas when we study about different types of tissues of plants or animals, then we call it as a histology. But thing is here, this is a parasite that feed on the tissues of your mucosa and submucosa by dissolving them with the help of a certain kind of enzyme. Histolysine is the name of the enzyme. So histos, tissues, lysis, dissolves or breaks down. So this parasite particularly dissolves the tissues present in your mucosa and submucosa with the help of a histolysine enzyme. So the name is assigned to this protozoan parasite as Amoeba histolytica. Is the point clear now? Right. Let us see now the systematic position of this parasite. So in the classification of the animals, then where this is actually present or placed. When you see here the systematic position, the phylum name of this parasite is Protozoa. I said in the beginning itself, it is a protozoan parasite. And thereafter the subphylum of this parasite is here Sarcomastygopora is the subphylum of this one. Right? You can see here phylum name is Protozoa, whereas Sarcomastygopora is its subphylum. Whereas the class of this one is Rhizopoda. The class to which it belongs to is Rhizopoda is its class. So whereas coming to the genus and species name, the scientific name itself indicates the genus as well as the species name. The genus name is Entamoeba, whereas the species name is Histolytica. Right? So this is actually here the systematic position of this parasite, that is Entamoeba histolytica. Right? I do give you some general information, the general characteristic features of this Entamoeba histolytica in a detailed way. And let us see that one now. This Entamoeba histolytica is microscopic as well as here monogenetic parasite. This is an important point. The microscopic, the Entamoeba histolytica is microscopic one, means it is not visible to us with our naked eye directly. With the help of a compound or electronic microscope only you are able to see this. So since the size is here very less, so we can consider this one as the microscopic organism, right? And second thing is, it's a here monogenetic parasite. It is an important thing. Then what does it mean? Then in case of malaria, there we studied that Plasmodium is a digenetic parasite. What does that mean? The digenetic parasite generally it completes its life cycle in a two different hosts. Whereas in a monogenetic parasite, actually the life cycle is get complete within a single host itself. Mono means nothing but one. So the host of this parasite is nothing but yourself. The human beings are only the host for this. This is the parasite lives in the large intestine. So the host of this parasite is man, means human beings. So that is the reason why we call this here Entamoeba histolytica as the monogenetic parasite, since it completes its life cycle only in the human being itself. Clear? Right. Coming to the next point here related to this is, it actually lives in the large intestine. Just now I said that here it inhibits in the large intestine, right? That is another important point. And coming to here, it is cosmopolitan in its distribution. Cosmopolitan in the distribution in the sense, this is get spread all over the world. This parasite is an organism which is get spread all over the world, but I said that the severity of this one or the diseases are more in a tropical and subtropical areas. Clear? That is one thing. And it is more common here in the world like a tropical area and subtropical regions of the world. And even if you take the tropical and subtropical areas, so the severity of this one is high in urban areas where the more population density is present, and even in your rural areas also, here this condition is generally high. It is more common in your rural areas and here densely populated urban areas. This disease is very common. The reason for that, there the hygienic conditions are very poor in these two kinds of areas, so that it is easy to the parasite to get spread to the here more the people in the communities. So this is very common in these two types of areas. And this is about here the general information regarding this one. Then how does this parasite it get transferred from one person to another person? Then what is the mode of the infection of this parasite? Let us see now in a detailed way. The mode of infection, it actually gets transmitted from person to person by contaminated food and water. So it is almost all here equal to the oral fecal route is one thing. A contaminated contamination of the food with actually this parasite or cysts and the water. If you consume such a kind of food and water, then the disease causing parasite is get transferred to us and it finally leads to the infections in us. This we generally used to call it as fecal oral route. Yeah, feces of an infected person, if it is here consisting of the infective stage, they will get transferred to the food. That's one thing. As you know that here, you assume that he is the person who is get infected because of this parasite. I said that this parasite is live in the large intestine. When he go for the defecation, actually his fecal matter consists of here this cyst, which we call it as tetranucleate cyst, is actually the infective stage of this parasite. So here there may be certain kind of here mechanical vectors like here houseflies, cockroach and all. When they sit on that, when it is get transferred to the food material, then this infective stage is get transferred to the food material that we eat, or else it may be get transferred to the water that we drink. Right? In this case, this food as well as the water, both of them are considered as then the contaminated food and water, since they have got these pathogens. This is causing parasites within that. Now, if you are the healthy person, consume such a kind of here the food material, then this disease causing parasite, it enter in your body and cause infections. This is actually the mode of transmission of the parasite or infective stage of the parasite from person to person. So we consider finally it is get transmitted by contaminated food and water is an important thing. Right. Then once it is get infected, then what time does it take for manifestation of a disease, which we call it as the incubation period. And the incubation period of this one, it ranges from 2 to 4 weeks. In some cases, it's more than 2 to 4 weeks, right? So that it takes place. That is the one thing. Just now, as I said here, there are certain kind of mechanical vectors are there, which helps for transmission of this one. These mechanical vectors, it includes houseflies as well as cockroaches. These two act like a mechanical vectors that helps for transmission of this actually disease causing infective stage. Right. As I said here, the incubation period of this one, the incubation period is here ranges from 2 to 4 weeks. In some cases, it is more than 2 to 4 cases. Here, 4 weeks it takes place. Right. Once it completes its actually the incubation period, then it results in the manifestation of a disease, during which you can happen to see certain kind of symptoms, characteristic features. Then what are the characteristic features or symptoms of the disease? Let us see now here. The thing is here, the person will get a abdominal pain and cramps can be experienced. Here, one thing, the person who is suffering from that will have the abdominal pain as well as the cramps. Whereas the second important thing, the constipation is very common. He will not go for the bowel here frequently and comfortably. The bowel movement will be here obstructed. It is not comfortable to him. Such a condition is called the constipation. Clear? And here, when he go for the defecation, then the fecal matter consists of excess amount of mucus as well as the blood. The reason is, I said just now here, this is a parasite lives in your large intestine, attack on the mucosa and submucosa, and it dissolves the tissues present within that too, right? So that this mucus comes out of the fecal matter. Meanwhile, here the blood vessels that are all present in your submucosa will be get ruptured, break down because of the histolysin, so that the blood also it comes out along with your fecal matter. This is a one more important here characteristic feature of this one. See this excess amount of mucus as well as blood clots need to comes out along with the fecal matter when you go for here defecation in the stool. So these actually the three are the important characteristic features of amoebiasis. Clear? Right. Next here, what is the diagnosis method that helps to us? When you go and test the stool of a person, within the stool you can happen to see here a chariot shaped nucleus consisting cysts are present. Along with that, Leyden crystals also present within that. So with the help of these two, you can identify that the person is suffering from the amoebiasis. Whereas the next one here, it is presence of here chromatoid bodies. It's a very important characteristic feature of here Entamoeba histolytica, important bit also. Presence of the chromatoid bodies within the cytoplasm is a very important characteristic feature of this, the cyst or Entamoeba histolytica. So by testing these as tool, and when you identify these kind of things, actually we can conclude that the person is suffering from amoebiasis, right? So this is about actually the introduction regarding this one. When you see this amoebiasis or Entamoeba histolytica, it actually present in a 3 different stages, right? The first stage is known as a trophozoite stage. Thereafter, the second stage is known as a pre-cystic stage, and the third one is known as a cystic stage. Let us study about the entire structure of this parasite in a detailed way, right?